Anyone who has played the OG Zelda games knows who Fi is, and why no one seems to like her at all. That's why we are all so relieved when she wasn't in Breath of the Wild. It seemed like she'd be gone forever, but now she might be coming back with some new moves. That's why today, we're going to look at how Fi could return and reuse Skyward Sword mechanics. First up, how Zelda Tears of the Kingdom could reuse Fi's Skyward Sword mechanics. Even though there isn't much information out about the sequel, some fans have managed to dig up a few hints from Breath of the Wild. One of the biggest theories is that Fi might return. Yep, that Fi. We all thought she was finally gone since she never showed up in Breath of the Wild when we got the Master Sword, but it seems like we haven't seen the end of her just yet. Even though people probably aren't looking forward to seeing her again, she could actually bring new functionality into the game. In Skyward Sword, Fi was the spirit of the Master Sword and Link's companion since he primarily used the sword, and while she wasn't in the 2017 Zelda game, there were many Easter eggs and references in the game that have fans convinced that her return is probably inevitable. But her return doesn't have to be a bad thing. A lot of people think she might be able to add a whole new dimension of exploring even beyond what Breath of the Wild could offer. They could do this by making Fi more of an AI than a spirit, which would make her fit in with the whole Sheikah technology thing. At the moment, the Master Sword doesn't really have that many special moves to it, other than the fact that it doesn't break. Skyward Sword mechanics were much more creative, and that might have been because of Fi. With her coming back, she could also bring some of the features back too. Next up, Fi's return has been hinted at. Breath of the Wild was nothing like any other Zelda game. They made huge changes like removing collectible hearts and the whole weapons breaking thing, but the game had references to previous Zelda games left, right, and center. Back when Nintendo announced the delay of Breath of the Wild 2, they did it through a brief video. In this clip, Link raises the malice-ravaged Master Sword to a ball of golden light. The blade briefly emits a blue light when he raises it. The Master Sword has always emitted a bluish-white light, especially when Link is using it to shoot sword beams. But it's hard not to think of the Master Sword's occupant, Fi. Fi sometimes transformed into a ball of blue light to travel in and out of Master Sword. A blue light coming from the sword might indicate that Fi is back in action and trying to communicate with the new Link. But what really convinced the fans that she really is returning is when Trial of the Sword was introduced through DLC. The trial focused on restoring the Master Sword's true power, and when the true power was unlocked, the sound was very similar to the one that played when Fi entered or left the sword in Skyward Sword. Plus, the trailers of Tears of the Kingdom hinted that there was something wrong with the sword. This something wrong could possibly be the lack of Fi or her trying to get out of the sword. Coming up, how Fi's mechanics could make the Master Sword better. Fi's return could actually make the game better because she'll bring in a lot of functionality that wasn't there before. As we mentioned before, the Master Sword doesn't have that many cool features like it used in the Skyward Sword. While Fi's homecoming may have an impact on the Tale of Tears of the Kingdom, there is more to her that might effectively improve the game. Dousing, for example, was one of the most popular moves Fi and the Master Sword did in Skyward Sword. With the restoration of the Sheikah slate being unclear for the time being, the dousing mechanism can easily replace the Sheikah sensor to detect nearby artifacts, shrines, or new regions. While the sensor gave us a rough sense of direction, being able to douse can also help the player identify items or locations they are looking for with better accuracy, especially if Link is on the ground. Another of Fi's Skyward Sword features that could possibly return is when she would point out her enemies' weaknesses. This might be more helpful in Tears of the Kingdom than in Breath of the Wild because the first game didn't complicate enemy designs by giving them basic weaknesses like Guardian's Eye or Talus's Ore Deposit. But they revealed in the trailers, Tears of the Kingdom's enemy design is actually building on this, and Fi's advice on how to strategize in battle or what weapons would work best might be life-saving for some players. Next, why no one wants her to come back. Fi has always been a very hated character in the Zelda games, and most people don't want her back either. The main reason why people hated her so much was because of how robotic she was. She's supposed to be a spirit, but at the same time, Zelda games would just throw in some super high-tech stuff that really didn't fit in with the game. Although they finally figured out how to do it in Breath of the Wild, it wasn't the same for the previous games, but even if they do make her less annoying now, there's still no need for Fi. Link's Link didn't have a companion in a Breath of the Wild, and no one thinks there's any need for one in the next game either. The Master Sword is broken sometime after BOTW off-screen, so if really Fi is brought back into the game, she should have a smaller role just to assist with sword restoration rather than as an actual companion. Players' reactions to companions in the Zelda franchise have been mixed. Giving Link a buddy is unnecessary, especially since he's mentioned that this is a journey only he can go on alone. Since this is the sequel to Breath of the Wild, people are hoping the Sheikah slate can continue to serve as a companion in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom 2. Let's look at how The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom links with Skyward Sword Twilight Princess. The latest teaser for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom didn't reveal anything specific, but the title alone raises a lot of questions about the game's storyline and how it might be connected to previous Zelda games like Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess. The Breath of the Wild sequel has presented itself in a similar way as other Skyward Sword games, with a big emphasis on Sky Islands and aerial adventures. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom might even have more links than just this one. The title reminds us of a lot of other Zelda games like Twilight Princess with the mention of tears. Tears have appeared as important relics in a few previous Zelda games, but it now seems that they'll be the focal point in a new way. Link will most likely have to gather mystery tears dispersed over Hyrule, and these tears could be related to items from Link's previous incarnation. And finally, what's with the Tears of the Kingdom? Throughout Skyward Sword, Link had to find various sacred realms founded by the goddess Hylia in order to obtain artifacts that would help him explore the realm. Link collected sacred tears, which were linked with one of Hyrule's golden goddesses to complete the sacred realms. This might not be the last time Link needs to find the goddess's tears. Twilight Princess has its own take on heavenly tears before the sacred realms. When this version of Link went to a place surrounded by twilight, he had to help the local light spirit by recovering tears of light stolen by Xant's henchmen. Although Twilight Princess's approach to magical tears wasn't as important to the storyline as it was in Skyward Swords, the connections remained, especially since both games kept the tears in plant-like containers. Tears as holy symbols in Zelda don't just end there. The more hidden spirit tracks have their own tears of light that do a variety of functions. There is an obvious pattern to tear symbolism in the series between all of these titles, and Tears of the Kingdom clearly has something to do with Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, or both. But no one actually knows where Tears of Kingdom will go with their tears concept. They might even go in a completely different direction from the previous games with this, or it could literally just mean crying. And that's a wrap for this video. Do you think Fi should return in Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? Let us know in the comments below. As always, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and we'll see you at the next one.